Check me out.
Yeah. Well, hey there, podcast listening people. How you doing today? Really appreciate you tuning in. Are you ready? Are you ready? Not only for the podcast today, but are you ready for spring? I know I am. Ready for a little bit of warmer weather. Those of you who have been around more than a couple seasons here in Colorado, you know, March, we're not just there yet. Spring in other states, maybe. We usually get the coldest weather and most amount of snow this time of year. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it. But anyways, really grateful you're listening in today. Do us this tiny favor, please, for bringing you this podcast. Leave a review wherever you listen. It really helps with our rankings, and we really appreciate the feedback. It helps us continue to grow this, make it a great platform for you. Make sure you subscribe wherever you like to listen. All the great platforms. And also, if you see us on social media, give us a shout, tag us on the shares, tag us on the content. We love and really appreciate the engagement. It's been a lot of fun. And I have a really fun show for you today. Jana Blue, who is a native, a real native, 7 professional seasons as a professional dancer. She started her dance career at a young age. Her parents started her at a very young age. She went on to become a dancer with the Denver Outlaws and a member of the Nugget Dancers and eventually the Denver Broncos, where she ended her career with a Super Bowl 50 ring. Not a bad way to wrap up your career, but didn't just stop there. She went on to also found her company, which is Choreography Wire, and Choreography Wire supplies challenging, crowd-pleasing routines to high schools, colleges, and professional dance teams, all digital. So she went on, created this digital platform, now helps others create dance routines. And as an athlete, I was an athlete all through high school, and so as an athlete growing up, I had my own perception about, dancers and air quotes cheerleaders, and, the perception, it's like, oh, it's a pretty face. You have to be a good looking person. And that's what it takes to do that. And you have to have some good dance skills. But my perception has changed a lot. And I hope doing shows like this does for you too. And also sees the other side of other professionals and talking to a lot of, ex-Denver Bronco dancers and other professional cheerleaders. Like, these are hardcore, hardworking athletes, and they work tremendously, vigorously to get to where they are and to get onto these professional teams and to maintain a career on those professional teams. And I have a massive amount of respect for what they do. I definitely, it's very challenging work for sure. And it's great when you get to see them leave these professional careers, athletic careers, and then use that as a trampoline into entrepreneurship like Jana has, and even other guests we've had on the show before. So cannot wait to bring this story to your ear holes today. Before we get there, real quick, if you want to sponsor the show, partner up, collaborate in one way or another, something we're always open to. We're always looking for those collaborations. So send us a shout on social media, Mile High Mentors, or you can email us directly, milehighmentors@gmail.com. A lot of you have reached out. Really appreciate it. We've been able to do some really fun collaborations just from you emailing us and Instagram. You never know what we can do together until we just get the conversation rolling. So give us a shout and we'll get that going. So without further ado, please welcome Jana Blue. Pretty awesome rhyme there. Please welcome Jana Blue to the Mile High Mentors podcast. We're live. Super grateful to have you here. Really appreciate you doing this. As a way to get started, what's your favorite part about Colorado?
Oh, man. Well, I'm a Colorado native, which nowadays is rare.
We're like unicorns, right?
I know. I tell people I'm from here, and they're, like, shocked.
See, but are you a Colorado native that hates on everybody that's moving here, or?
I mean, we all know that the real problem is the fact that we don't have any highways to support this. That's the real problem. But yeah, I definitely, like, my boyfriend is from Iowa, and I give him crap all the time about moving here. But obviously, I want him to stay. So, but yeah, I would say probably my favorite thing about Colorado is honestly the weather. I know that might be like the worst thing for some people, but I love that it's always sunny. You could be having a blizzard and it's completely melted in like an hour. I love that.
It's gorgeous outside right now. We just got a big old snow dump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I love the fact that we have snow. Like if I lived in California, I would never see that. So I love the snow. I love when it's hot. The only thing I don't love is wind. I think it's pointless.
Wind is kind of pointless. Yeah, screw the wind. Why does wind even have to exist in the first place? What's
your point, wind? Get out.
Yeah, seriously, come on. I know it's like you can handle the cold, but when it's cold and windy, that's just
so miserable. Yeah,
it's miserable. Right. So the weather, interesting. I've gotten lots of different answers on that. Any particular favorite? Because you're So any particular favorite like hot spots or anything like that in Colorado?
I mean, I'm not super, obviously, I'm like, about to have a baby and stuff. So my life right now consists of me hanging out at home or going to the movies. But, like a lot of people probably say that their favorite thing about Colorado is the outdoors and going to the mountains and all that stuff. And because I think I'm from here, I'm not really into that because I grew up with it and it wasn't really that cool.
Do you ski or snowboard or anything like that? Not now because you're pregnant, obviously, but
I never have in my life.
Wow.
I just have never wanted to. I don't want to be like, going down a mountain in the snow. I don't know. So, I've hiked. I like hiking. I love Hanging Lake, and but I still don't do that as much as I should. I tried to do my first 14er this summer when I was pregnant, and let's just say it was like a 7,000er for me because I wasn't going all the way up.
Yeah. How many months pregnant are you now?
I'm 6. Basically.
You're 6 months. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. And remind me, do you pronounce your name Jana or
Yes,
Gina?
yes.
Jana
with a J. That's what
Jana with a J. So Jana actually really cool connection. We've had Katie Martin on the podcast. We've had Natalie Euling, which Jana's connected up with those two, and that's kind of how I think we got linked up on Instagram. And where was I going with that? Yeah. Oh, so we were talking about like pregnant folks we've had on the podcast, and like Natalie came on, Samantha Joy, and every time we have a delayed preggers on the podcast, then it just happens. Like, we initiate it for them, but we don't want that to happen in this case because
too early.
I think that counts as a premature birth.
For a while, yeah. She's staying there for at least another 6 weeks.
That's probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she's doing well. We just got to check up, and she's actually, her head is 10 days ahead. So I do not want to be with this one.
Wait, say that again.
Her head is measuring 10 days ahead of schedule. So she's got a big head, and I need her to not be a delayed birth. She needs to come on time or a little early. Does
big head follow suit with her mother or her father?
Her father, yeah.
Okay. Got it. And that's where the snoring comes from.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What's that?
Big head and snoring.
Big head and snoring.
I know where she got that from.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was just giving Jana a hard time because it was just hilarious. She posted a story on her Instagram of her boyfriend snoring and was like totally calling him out on her stories, and I was just laughing. I'm like, oh. Like, everyone has their own love language.
Sense of humor. Yeah, he doesn't mind being featured.
I would imagine have to. So, tell us a little bit. What's your background, kind of growing up in Colorado? Which part of town did you grow up in, and all that?
So I was born at Denver General, and I kind of grew up in 5 Points, but as a baby. And then we moved over to, I'm not really sure what they call it now, but it's like Tennessee and Leedsdale. So Denver still.
Yeah.
And then I grew up in Littleton for like my more, adolescent years, like middle school teenager. I grew up in Littleton Colorado, which is where my mom still lives, and I went to Heritage. And then I went to pro dancing pretty much right when I was 18. So then I moved down closer to Denver and did Outlaws, Nuggets, Broncos. And right now I live in like Arvada, Westminster area.
And your parents, are they from Colorado?
My mom was like born out of state, but she's lived here most of, her life. And then my dad was born here.
That's awesome. So they got you into dancing early on, or there's somebody else who had kind of brought you into that space?
My mom, I don't know why my mom signed me up. I guess I used to dance around the house when I was younger, like a crazy person.
I used to do the same thing. It's a good thing my parents didn't sign me up for dance, or maybe they should have.
I think she thought, wow, you have a lot of energy, but you're not really doing anything. So she signed me up for dance classes. But
she's one of those. She's like, Jana, if you're going to be dancing, this needs to be in a coordinated effort. Yeah. You can do better than this.
She would play like Salt and Peppa or like Prince, and I would just be dancing around the house like a crazy person. So she started putting me in classes when I was like 7 or 8, and then I just fell in love with it. But I'm also super competitive. So when I started, most kids start when they're like 4. So I was already behind the curve. So I was like frustrated with that. I didn't want to dance with the babies anymore. So I worked so hard all the time at home. I would practice and stretch and do all the things I needed to do to move up to dance with the older kids. So I actually started at Cherry Creek Dance, and I stayed there all the way until I was, in high school or something, and I took a break. But yeah, I love dancing. It's like, I hope my daughter wants to dance really, really bad.
So it is a girl. I guess we didn't even talk about this yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's coming, and I hope she wants to dance. I won't force her, but I really want her to.
Would you recommend, would you guide her down the same path of going into the professional realm as well? Like if you had to go back and do all that over again, would you?
I would. I mean, obviously everybody has their own passions, and there's so many ways to go. I mean, you could be a prima ballerina. You maybe have a passion for teaching and you want to stay in teaching. You could want to go down the pro teams. You could want to go down more like entertainment wise and be a backup dancer, or maybe you want to focus on choreography. There's so many different facets, which is why I think I love dance so much too. It's like a never ending project. You're never going to be a master of all ever. You usually find a specialty, and then you still have other things you need to work on. But yeah, so I love pro dance teams. I think it's amazing, partially because you foster so many friendships and really a sense of community.
Right.
Like Choreography Wire wouldn't be possible if I hadn't done dance teams, because I have so much support from other dancers that I've met along the process, or just, I mean, even through the grapevine. Like the
connections, like you're connected up with professional athletes who have companies and coaches and owners and like everything.
Yeah, I mean, it opens up everything. I mean, I have a few players that I've met along the way that I'm friends with who are always super encouraging. I've met other dancers from other states on other teams, like a girl who dances for Tampa Bay Bucks. We've actually never met in real life, but we're friends on Instagram, and she's like a huge supporter of Choreography Wire.
But that's the beauty of social media now, right?
Yeah, I mean, social media could work like that for anybody, but I think it's special for dance because everyone understands kind of the same journey. They speak the same language, basically. And I mean, you can talk to people in Japan and Australia and all over the world and still be on the same page, which I think is pretty cool.
That's so, this is so interesting too. Like this was something Katie and I kind of talked about when we had done hers, is like some people see dancers or professional like athletes in the genre you were under and just see like, girls that are dancing, but don't realize that there's so much work that goes behind it. Yeah. And a lot of women use that network as a trampoline for their careers, kind of like what you've done with Choreo. Mm-hmm. And that was something Katie said too, is like, it was more so the support, the business support that she got out of being a Broncos, dancer with her current businesses.
Right. Well, and I mean, Broncos is special. Not every organization works like Broncos. We have an alumni system that's really strong because we've had really consistent and strong directors that have been in place who really value that part of the process. Like there's a lot of people who don't realize what kind of an awesome power it is to be a coach. And they do. And so they've kind of had this alumni system of, over like 150 women. And you can say, I was a Broncos cheerleader this year to this year. And someone that was from the first seasons of Broncos will say, oh yeah, I know you, I've stayed in touch or whatever. And they want
Wait, what were the first seasons of when the
this
dancers started?
This year, I think was like the 27th season or so, 27, 28. So, I mean, it's been a few decades. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
To be able to connect with people from that.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah, I think my first year, which was 2014, was the year 22 of the Broncos cheerleaders. So,
wow.
It's been a huge legacy. We've kept it strong. We do alumni performances and do all these things. But like when Katie opened her business and she had an opening party, so many people came just because we know who Katie is and she's from Broncos and we're from Broncos and we're all going to go and support her. And it was the same way with Choreography Wire. I had a launch class and it was limited. Obviously, I can't have 150 people in there, but I had 50 people easily show up. I mean, it's awesome.
Right. Now, you guys would all consider yourselves like dancers versus cheerleaders.
Yeah. I mean, cheerleading is in the like traditional sense. Obviously, sometimes the lines blur, especially on your industry, but cheerleading is mostly supposed to be stunting and like vocal stimulation with the crowd. But dancing is more so like what you would, I guess, equate as a song leader instead of a cheerleader.
So professional teams don't technically have cheerleaders, like if you're looking at technical terms between the two.
Some do. So every organization is different. Like Nuggets used to have a cheerleading team. They used to have a cheer team and a dance team. And the cheer team would go out and stunt and do cool tricks and all that stuff. And then the dancers would just come out and dance to music. But it's just hard to maintain two different programs that are to an untrained eye. Like they're the same. So they're like, we can't really justify budgetary wise having two teams that do similar things. But yeah, I wouldn't say many. Like I don't think there's any really in the NFL that do that. The NBA still kind of has some of that.
Mm-hmm. In high school, I think they're probably I guess you have the dance team. Like now that I think about it, our high school team had dance team and cheerleaders.
Right. So most high schools have both.
And then they battle to the death all the time.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too that it opens up is that you try to create those relationships because you're kind of doing the same thing. You're trying to cheer on your team or support your team together. So it's more than, it's like such a community aspect. We do a lot of reach out for organizations and nonprofits and that type of stuff too. So, I mean, dance is life-changing. So I would definitely encourage anyone to get into it, but especially my kiddo.
She's listening now. We're influencing
telling her right now
with the energy. What do you know the name yet?
We're going to name her Roman.
Roman? Interesting. I've never met a girl named Roman before.
I haven't either, but
I guess it's unisex.
I've met a guy named Roman, but we just wanted like a strong name that's kind of
Roman.
It's kind of multifaceted. Like if you saw that name on a resume, you don't know who's going to walk in really. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, is that because you want to call her Ro when she becomes a professional like talent, like a singer? Like her stage name can be like Roro or something like that.
Yeah. We've already said I'm going to call her Rome or Ro or whatever because I just think it's so cute. She can go by whatever she wants. She can be her full name or give herself a nickname. I think that's cool. I never could have a nickname, so
yeah,
my name's too short.
Same.
Yeah,
I mean Doobie. Like my last name's Doobie. By the way, that's how you pronounce it.
I'm sure everyone called you that.
Yeah, everyone like high school playing football. Everyone referred to me just as Doobie.
Yeah.
So yeah, but not as many people do that now. Maybe it was a high school thing. Did you start with the Outlaws or did you start with the Broncos?
I started with Outlaws. Outlaws is kind of like a starter team just because there is so few games. There's like about 8 home games. They're all within about 3 to 4 months. So it's not as huge of a commitment. I mean, when you make Broncos, it's pretty much all year. You get like maybe a 2-3 month break before auditions come back around, but it's pretty much all year. Nuggets is a huge commitment, or NBA in general is a huge commitment. And Outlaws, I wanted to try. I had never done dance team. I came from studio, so I would do competitions and learn ballet and do all these things that really aren't relevant to dance team life. So I wanted to see, like, do I even like this or not? And I ended up really loving it. And then I tried out for Nuggets. I did another year of Outlaws. I took a break in between my first year of Nuggets and so forth. So I did 2 more seasons after that. And then I did Broncos, but the seasons kind of overlap, so you can't go right from Nuggets to Broncos. So I took another year off.
Are there people that do both?
Like move from one team to the other or 2 at the same time?
Yeah, like is there any professionals that do multiple teams at one time?
I mean, you can technically if you have the right amount of sports in your state.
Yeah.
And then, but like Nuggets overlaps barely just because their auditions kind of overlap with what's going on with like the way it ends and starts. There's no way you could do a current season of Nuggets and a current season of Broncos. There's no way. You can barely do a current season of Nuggets. It's 44 home games and it's in all the practices. And I mean, there's just no way. I was like, how am I doing this?
Yeah, that's a lot. Oh my God. So, which of the professional teams did you like have the most passion for while you were in it? Because I think you stuck with the Broncos the longest, right?
I did 2 seasons for Broncos and 3 for Nuggets, but I mean, obviously you're also at different stages in your life. Typically, I mean, the cutoff age for Broncos is you have to be 21 to try out. But for Nuggets, you have to be 18. So you do get kind of different life stages. You might still be in college and be on Nuggets, but typically when you're on Broncos, you've graduated. So I would say it's just different opportunities. Like NBA, you're inside. So that's nice. You're not in the elements, and you're also
freezing your booty off out. Elements.
Not dancing on grass.
The wind. This is why you hate the wind.
Yes. Dancing in the wind is just straight up the worst thing that's ever been in existence. It's so awful. Yeah. Your hair's in your face. Your allergies are like all stirred up. You can barely breathe. You're sniffing all over the place. You don't feel very cute. But yeah, so NBA, you're also dancing on a court, so you have like a lot more styles you can do, a lot more technique. You kind of do just more robust dances. But like the culture is different. And then NFL, I feel like is just a lot more prestigious in a way. Like you get a lot more opportunities. Just because NFL has a huge reach in their communities for the most part.
More than the NBA? They have more reach than the NBA?
I just think they have more like long-standing relationships. Like the Broncos have a huge relationship with the Children's Hospital and Denver Public Schools and that type of stuff. And so it's just kind of like easier to get those organizations to throw events or that we can go be a part of. So I did a lot more community service with NFL than I did NBA. Not to say that one values more than the other. I just think there's less time to do that stuff for NBA because there's so many games.
Right.
And then NFL, like the experience was different, obviously from city to city. It'll be different, but we go to Mexico for our calendar shoot and we'd have like a calendar release party. And when we won the Super Bowl, we all got rings. They did a ring ceremony for us. I mean, they just treat you like you're part of the family, which I really, really love about Broncos. So I just think they all have different things. But then NBA, I got to choreograph for our team a lot. So that's when I realized how much I loved choreographing. So I just think it's different for everybody.
When you were younger, were your aspirations to get into the professional realm, or did you have other career aspirations as you're growing up? And you
I
just
used
kind of
to want to
happened
be
to
a
fall
lawyer.
into it. Say that again?
I used to want to be a lawyer, but
I could see it.
oh man, I really wanted to, but I did not want to do all that school.
Oh, yeah.
But
You're too fun to be a lawyer too. You're too nice. Like,
yeah,
you're
I
you're
mostly like to
badass
argue.
enough and like, hardcore enough, but
Yeah, just ask Bryant, man. I just love to argue. But, I just didn't want to do all that reading and no thanks. So anyways,
yeah.
But with dance, I actually always wanted to like move to LA and be a backup dancer. And I actually was about to when I was 22 or something. I was like, I'm going to move to LA and I'm going to go do all these auditions and all this stuff.
For like music videos and
or and then
stage performances.
Yeah, I wanted to like go be on tour with Beyonce and do that type of thing.
I could see it.
But I had a friend who had gotten an audition to backup dance for like J-Lo or something. And I was talking to her about the process and, she was in love with it, which good for her. She was saying, it's so much fun. She's so nice. Like all the other dancers are so wonderful. We're dancing every night. We're doing this and that. And to me, it sounded exhausting. She's like, we're in a new city. We ride on this bus. We like live in these bunk beds. You can't really like have any stuff with you. You don't get to see your family until the tour's over. And I was just like, actually, I don't think this is the life for me. So, and she had like a
road warrior for sure.
Yeah,
that's tough life. Yeah.
Yeah. And because you're on the road, it doesn't make sense for you to really have an apartment, but obviously you need one because you can't take any stuff with you. So she has, this little rundown apartment in Studio City. And I just felt like this isn't everything I want. It'd be like a small piece, being able to just say that I did that and work with other dancers and obviously like meet cool recording artists. But the lifestyle itself, I don't think I would have been happy day to day. So, I said, no, thanks. And then I went back to Nuggets, I think, for a third season and then moved on to Broncos. But I definitely wouldn't have changed that choice, but it was something I was interested in at some point.
When did the, I guess, seed of entrepreneurship kind of implant itself in you? I just realized how silly that sounded given the current state of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of seeds around here.
There's a lot of seeds being planted this last year. And I'm guessing this wasn't. Well, anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I would say, I never really thought about it for pretty much my whole adult life. I was never thinking, I want to own a business.
Yeah. And your parents didn't need so much either, did they?
No, my parents don't own their businesses.
They were career people. Yeah.
I don't think really many people in my family do. Now my uncle actually owns Barolo Grill in Denver, which is one of my favorite hot spots.
Oh. Wait, how do you spell that? Barolo Grill? I've never.
Barolo. It's Barolo. It's in Cherry Creek, and then he also owns Chow Morso, which is in Denver Union Station.
Oh, okay.
Which is also so good. But that
what was the name of the second one?
Chow Morso. It's so good. It's Chow, CHOW, and then MORSO. It's like across the street from some type of Brazilian place, I think.
Oh, it's near Union. It's not actually inside Union Station.
No, yeah, it's just nearby.
Okay,
like
got it. I was like, wait, I've never seen that in Union Station, but
yeah, it's like a block away. It used to be in Avanti. They had a little place in Avanti in the lower floor, but then he got his own standalone.
What are the two genres of restaurants?
They're both Italian, but Barolo is like a 5-star. You go there for the wine and like the sommelier experience, and then Chow Morso is like their take on street food. So,
okay, we'll have to go. All of us go grab dinner sometime down there.
I love it there. Oh, it's so good.
Love Italian food.
But yeah, so he's the only one really that kind of started that. But he started as like a manager there, and then he ended up taking it over. But I didn't really have anybody in my family that had that bug. Like, I want to own my own business. We all worked for people. And so I guess what happened was I had a really strong passion for this company I was working for. I worked there for 4 years. I moved up a lot. I basically defined my own roles. I got to have a lot of freedom, but I also knew like everything about the business and I had a lot of passion for it. But what happened, we sold our company to a larger company. And usually when that happens, you have layoffs and huge changes into your culture and all that stuff. So that happened for like a year and a half. We were going through those changes and then they were laying off people. And I was like the third round of people to get laid off. So I just kind of had an awakening that, you know, I don't want to keep doing this, like putting my life and livelihood in someone else's hands and hoping that they get it together. There's nothing worse than being part of a failure when you weren't really part of the failure. It's like one thing to own your business and have it fail or something and it's your fault.
You can at least own the failure at that point.
Right. But to be part of a business and put so much into it and then have it fail anyway, when it wasn't really even part of your choices or you saw the wrong choices being made and there's nothing you could do about it and that type of thing. So,
well, that mindset is interesting. And I think that's part of like you in the professional dance world, it's not like you versus the other team. It's you versus you for the most part, right?
Right.
So you kind of already had that mentality set up going into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I mean, definitely it was never about trying to be better than anybody or, I mean, even with Choreography Wire, I'm not trying to be better than anybody. Obviously I'm always seeking improvement. And so often if there's a business that's comparable to me, I'm going to look at their experience and decide what I do and don't like about it and then try to improve it for myself. But, you know, I have a really strong vision on branding and I have a strong vision on what I want people to experience when they work with me or other people that are going to represent my business. And I just feel a lot better being in control of those aspects. And I never realized that I even wanted that. I mean, I was working for other companies and doing what I needed to do, but I never really was all the way happy. I mean, if I work at a huge corporation, I'm definitely not happy. I know that about myself. I don't like to work in a place where I'm a tiny little fish in a huge sea. I like to feel like I'm making an impact. I definitely realized that after I started coaching that I have to feel like I'm changing something for the better. If I don't feel that way, then I'm just going to leave. So that's kind of when it started, was when I got laid off and I enrolled back in school because I really was interested in the marketing portion of things and wanted to understand more of the technical pieces and learn more about like Photoshop and the programs that are available for that. And then I decided, you know, I want to start something. Choreography Wire had always been on my mind, like since 2013, I wanted to start it, but I wasn't done dancing. So I wanted to keep dancing and kind of just keep learning and see what else I could impact, especially while coaching. That really helped. And so it kind of helped shape what I wanted to do with Choreography Wire. I think if I would have started it in 2013, I would have had less vision. It really would have been kind of all over the place. I would have been just doing whatever
so you had the idea, you had the premise of it a few years ago, but your role didn't really allow you to start building it out until I think was it a year ago now you officially launched? Yeah,
we launched in May of 2018. I was doing stuff for it before that. So like I registered my business in November right before that. But yeah, I mean, I would have been just kind of all over the map. And then having done coaching and Broncos and all these other facets, it really kind of opened my eyes to what I wanted to do. And I decided game day choreography is my go-to. That's what I love to do. I love to make things that get the fans excited when they see a routine and they want to be a part of that routine. Because I've seen routines out there that I'm like, what is this? I mean, not saying that about any of my teams or teams that I've been a part of, but I've seen videos and stuff where I'm like, I don't like this dance, or I could do something better than this, or I've learned dances that I never performed or whatever, but I thought someone's getting paid to do this. Like, I could do this probably better.
Did you ever find that when you're with the Outlaws or the Nuggets or with the Broncos and pointed out, you're like, hey guys, this routine sucks. Let's do something different.
No, I mean, I would say at that point I was new to the dance world, at least dance team wise. And so I didn't really understand. I mean, what I could apply was studio dance, and studio dance is so much different.
How is it different? Not to diverge, but
like it's not usually as unison. It's not as clean. It's a lot more individual. Like, you're really just trying to express yourself more so than present like a clean, hard-hitting routine to a remix, you know? It's usually just something that's expressive, and which is obviously great to learn, because if without that, I don't think I would be very good at choreography. But you have to know the difference. And like, people in the stands in a 72,000 person stadium are not looking to see that. They're not looking to see your expressive take on, you know, like Celine Dion's song from Titanic. They want to see like a hard-hitting dance to Filthy by Justin Timberlake, you know?
So funny.
So yeah.
It's just the one standalone dancer that just runs out into the middle of the field and like does her own thing. That was you.
Definitely don't want to see that.
Yeah. I don't know. It may hit the 9 News pretty hard.
Yeah, the people who want to see that are the people who dance.
Yeah, the actual dancers understand that. The other ones are, the majority of people who are looking at the professional dancers and athletes is more on the entertainment side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like what I learned from my coaches was really valuable. I never really felt during the experience like, oh, I could do this better, but I felt like I learned a lot from them, like being able to clean a dance and make sure that it looks really crisp and unison and timing and all that stuff works well. I learned a lot of that from my Nuggets coach, or at least my experience being cleaned helped me understand what she was looking for, what she wanted to change. I think I learned a lot about staging and visual effects from our Broncos choreographer. So, and then being able to coach helped me probably the most, because obviously that I learned what I was doing wrong or what I could do better, or I would take my girls to experiences where I was actually learning. Like, I mean, obviously it was for them to learn, but I ended up learning too. We would go to conventions in California or learn from master classes that come to Denver. That's always really helpful. I try to sign up for those as much as I can, because those dancers are coming from more experience or a different experience. And one of the most powerful ones was with this woman. Her name's Janelle Genestra. And she came and taught at Millennium in Denver. And she was so good at just connecting with her dancers and making them feel pushed. And it was like, I was motivated to dance harder in a way that I never had been before. And I really wanted to take that piece of her into my Choreography Wire experiences. If I'm teaching a camp, I want those girls to feel like, wow, I really want to dance harder for this woman who's inspiring me, but also for me, and to be a better dancer, and to know that there's more to this than just coming here with my team. I mean,
well, that's so good for you and amazing that you're still out there educating yourself in the world and like consuming other people's dances and information. Like it'd be easy for you to just take the knowledge you've built over the years and just run with it, but you're continuing to educate yourself.
For sure. I think that's a huge part about entrepreneurship that people sometimes miss, thinking that we know best, or thinking that things are good as they are. Don't break something or fix something that's not broken. I feel like that mentality is what keeps you stagnant, and taking risks is scary. I mean, to go to those classes in itself is scary, because I'm there with girls half my age that can dance circles around me. But if I don't do it myself, I can't figure out how to teach it the right way. I'm always going to be, 50%, and I need to be 100 if
humbling yourself to, take that step to do it.
Yeah, and I know, and if anything, I'm just going to make light of it. And if I look like a fool, I'm going to turn to the 13-year-old next to me and say, girl, dance in front of me. I need to watch you.
That's awesome.
I'd rather just be fun and leave feeling like, wow, what did I learn from that experience than just be sitting at home hoping for the best. So it's interesting. And then obviously there's things changing all over the world in dance. Dancing in LA is completely different than dancing in Florida. Dancing in Vegas is different than dancing in Montana. So
is that based on like what people are looking for on the team, or? I
mean, like fan bases are different.
You mean, or you mean more like the style of dancing?
Both. I mean, in let's say, I'm trying to think of a good city. Like colleges. LSU's dance team is going to focus way more on hip hop than they're going to focus on like their jazz routine. But that's not going to be the same for teams like on the East Coast. On the East Coast, they focus more so on like technique and ballet. And so they focus way more on their jazz routine than they would on a hip hop routine. So
in California, Justin Timberlake, and as sexy and raunchy as it could get.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So California is, I don't know if you're familiar with this dance group. They're called The Lab. And they just competed on one of those dance shows. It's called World of Dance. It's J-Lo's show. And they won, and they're incredible. I've been inspired by them for like 5 years. I think they're amazing. But their style of dance is so different than anything you would see in other dance teams across the states. So I feel like you have to really like take those master classes and try to get out there and travel if you can to see what's going on out there, especially if you're going to own a business in choreography. But if you want to just be like a multifaceted dancer, you have to understand what's going on in different states. And then for me, especially, I have to understand the difference in fan base, like just within our state.
When you're working with your clients, having to like make that shift with everybody.
Right. Like I just worked with Stanley Lake High School.
Yeah. You do mostly high school or mostly college?
I haven't done a lot of college just because it does kind of require travel. I mean,
any junior highs that you've worked with?
Not like for my business. I worked with them for other stuff.
Yeah.
But not for Choreography Wire, just because they don't usually have the resources to bring in an outside person.
Yeah. So mostly high school is the key. And do you like working with the high school aged
I love working with
high
school kids. I'll work with pro teams as well, but pro is different. Pro, like they should already know what they're doing, and then I put it on them. So I really have to understand like who this dance is for. You know, not even Nuggets fans expect something different than a Broncos fan would. Or if I'm in Tampa Bay, it's way different than Denver. So I just have to understand that for pro. But for high school, I love working with them because it's where I get to apply kind of that motivational piece and understanding the different depths of dance. And that's something I think I was missing a bit when I was that age. So I really like to communicate to them, like, what were some huge aha moments for me when I transferred from being a studio dancer to a dance team, or from being like a young little 16-year-old who was winning scholarships at dance competitions to not knowing anything, being on Outlaws or getting yelled at because I'm not dancing sharp enough and not understanding what that meant. So I really love working with high school kids. I think people will give it a bad name, but
I just know that I was a shithead when I was in high school. So.
Oh man, I think I was too, but that's part of why I love doing it, because I think I would have been completely different if I would have had someone like me in my life.
Right.
So I really like to try to apply that to my kids. I mean, I coach at East, and I've loved every minute of it, even the really hard times where I'm like, I'm quitting. I remember back, like I had lots of, cheerleader dancer friends when I was in high school, and, even dealing with like the high school drama, not just the school drama, but I'm sure you like kind of end up having to deal with like actual high school drama too. Oh man, so much high school drama, but that's the thing.
Is Brad still an a-hole, by the way? I mean, has been.
That's funny because I'll keep up with that stuff. I'll ask them like, so how's this boy now or whatever, because I know their drama.
Now you're like actually like getting into it.
Yeah. Oh, they'll tell me too. They'll tell me other kids'
I'm sure.
or things that happened at school, if there's a fight or whatever. But I think it's helpful because number one, when they tell me, oh, here's my cat, just saying hi.
Oh, hey, buddy. It's a cool colored cat.
He's a little blue point Siamese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty face.
He's a cute boy. But I think like one thing is when they tell me that stuff, I don't overreact. I'm always like, oh, it's fine. It'll be fine. And then I just remember.
You will not die, Becky. Yeah. I promise you, you're going to make it through this.
Yeah. Because they really are learning from you.
Yeah.
How to react to the world around them. I'm
sure they look up to you so much. I mean,
I think that was like what I learned about the coach responsibility, because like a lot of people don't understand. I could be the reason these kids never ever dance ever again because of something I said offhand. I could have said something, just blurted it out in a moment, and then they think I'm never dancing again. I mean, I hate this, or I hate what she just made me feel, or whatever. So I really try to be thoughtful in my responses, and I try to make sure they understand like high school is just a blip. It's like this big compared to your life. So,
but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel
just
like
learn from it. It's okay. If this girl said this to you and it devastated you, just find a way to maybe like apply that to how you treat people. It's just, you can't change this girl. So, it's been really helpful, and it obviously will help me like once my girl is that age.
You'll have some practice by then. Oh yeah, I
feel like a pro at this point. I don't have any practice with little kids though, but every time she throws a tantrum, I'm gonna be like, I can't wait until you're 16 because then I'll know what to do.
You're right. Cat counts, I guess.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, it was funny. My mom's had 3 boys, and then a surprise daughter who's now, my youngest sister's 10.
Oh, wow.
And, she's constantly communicated the difference in like raising us versus raising her. And she's, young still. So good luck.
Yeah.
One thing I was actually that came to mind, which is kind of seems pretty relevant with the current state of the world, is that, professional teams, Outlaws, Nuggets, the Broncos, there is a persona that goes into being a professional dancer, looks, certain things around that. And so with the current like political correctness that we live in now, and a lot more awareness around political correctness, or a lot more social justice impact in this space. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what's the shift going to happen with professional teams? I mean, the Miss America, Miss Colorado or whatever, like I ran into her a couple weeks ago, and they're talking about like they can't do the swimsuit, thing anymore. And the stuff's changing there, which is, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's definitely a perspective thing. I mean, everyone's going to have a different opinion. Things are changing already. I mean, there are some teams that are trying to get disbanded, or that they're saying they won't fund because they just don't want to deal with like potential lawsuits or whatever else might come from it.
In what way? What do you mean by that?
Like they won't fund their payroll for the dancers, or the San Antonio Spurs just got rid of their dance team because they wanted to replace it with a co-ed hype team, I think is what they're calling it.
Hype team?
Yeah, so they'll learn some dances, but they also will like come out and throw t-shirts and do that type of stuff. And in the dancer community, we were all devastated to hear that, because the San Antonio dancers are really historically talented. They're gorgeous. They're good intelligent young women. And so to see
Wasn't there a show on the dance team there? Or maybe I'm thinking of something.
There's a show for the Clippers. There's a show for the Cowboys. I don't think there's one for the Spurs, but
like if in like a morbidly obese, overweight person wanted to come try out, and they're a great dancer, but they don't fit that persona, what's going to happen with that? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Should everyone be
every organization is so different. We've definitely seen a shift into accepting different body types. I'd say that was a lot more strict like 5 years ago. It's still going to be strict with some organizations because of the ownership or the expectation around it.
But they probably couldn't promote that it'll be strict or risk, protest now.
Right. I mean, they're like, we've had in Colorado some girls who are accepted onto teams that are curvier than is normal. And, even the dancer community was like, ooh, did you see this or whatever? My experience is usually that we're all pretty supportive. I mean, I was sitting in the audience when they selected a girl who was a bit curvier, and we were all, me and the alumni, saying, we love her. We love her energy. We love her everything. And they took her, and we were so excited for that. There's the Rams team took 2 boys this year, which was really exciting. And then the Dolphins are changing their uniforms. So they're actually trying to make their uniforms less sexual in nature. And they're trying to make it more of a, we want you to pay attention to our personalities. I don't think it's the Dolphins that are changing uniforms. It's the, it's the Colts. Because we know she's an alumni from Broncos. They're changing their uniforms. The Dolphins, though, are promoting like the career aspect of the cheerleaders and saying, don't just, fall for us for our long blonde hair. We want you to understand we have paramedics and teachers and all these amazing women who have brains.
Yeah. Right, but to play devil's advocate, it's like that's what a lot of people pay attention to that for, is for the like, wow, these women are beautiful, gorgeous, dancing and like, having fun. And it's such a gray area. You know what I mean? Like how curvy is too curvy to accept onto a team?
Well, it's funny because I think there's something for everyone. I mean, honestly, everyone likes something, so if you're really trying to cater to the like sexualized aspect of cheerleaders, then there's something for everybody. Everybody likes something, but
that's where the swimsuit edition comes in, I guess.
Right. But I also think there's just this,
but like also the Miss America, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But also like Miss America, like eliminating the swimsuit,
right. Well, I think what is happening with that is we're starting to realize the awesome potential that comes with intelligent, well-spoken, athletic, talented women being in these positions of kind of like power. I mean, you have a huge role in influencing younger generations of women. So if I look like a young girl now who's 6 years old and she sees like, I look like this girl, I want to be her. I want to learn from her. I want to meet her. And you have an opportunity to meet her maybe in our juniors program, and she comes into the juniors and meets you and thinks either you live up to those expectations or you greatly disappoint her, whatever that might be. We're starting to see like you really have an awesome potential here to influence these young people. And we don't want to over-sexualize it anymore because we don't want these young girls thinking that they should grow up flaunting
having
X,
to
Y,
be
and Z.
sexualized
or
to
having
like
to look this certain way to have value or whatever, because your value is going to school and learning and being educated and helping your community in whatever ways you can. So if you're confusing that with I need to look like a size 0 in a swimsuit, then we're kind of missing the point here. So I just think that with a lot of women kind of coming up in administrative roles or in ownership or whatever within the NFL, because that's happening, I think that's also influencing it. They're saying, I don't want to see this in the cheerleaders anymore. So we're going to make a switch here. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of resistance to it because obviously I look at the comments or whatever. And, when they changed the uniform at the Colts, there was a lot of encouraging comments. And then there was a lot of pushback ones. Yeah. That are like, who do you guys think you are? Or this isn't what I want to see. When they took the 2 boys on the Rams, you wouldn't believe the comments from a lot of the men.
Really? But I feel like a lot of dance teams already have guys on them. I don't know. My high school had 2, I
love male dancers. I used to say, even if I didn't know that I was having a daughter and we were going to have a son, I said,
You would
I
still
don't
make
think
him a
dances
dancer?
too, man. I think male dancers are powerful. They have so much,
Yeah.
physical capacity to like dominate in dance. But
Is your boyfriend a dancer?
he can dance, but he's not a
Can
dancer.
dance.
He's not trained. But if I turn on some Fetty Wap, he'll show you what's up.
It goes down.
Yeah,
He turns into an LA cheerleader.
exactly. He turns more into like Justin Timberlake or Bruno Mars. Like he's very like rhythmic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that's kind of what's responsible for the changes, is that we're seeing, we're really missing this opportunity to influence our community.
Yeah, and you see it as a positive. You think the changes is
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, obviously
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily agree with like the type of quotas that some teams will say we need 5 blondes and 2 redheads, and
Oh, really?
they'll take girls based on that criteria. I don't agree with that. I think you could be missing out on a really awesome dancer or person because of the color of their hair or whatever. But when it comes to being more accepting of different body types or flaunting more so the positive aspects of the women on the team, I think that that's really awesome. Our director actually kind of helped me cultivate that on Broncos, because she didn't want us to be the stereotype of like cheerleaders. And so we would just have open conversations about what is the stereotype of cheerleaders and dancers, and how do we combat that with what we want people to think. And that was like a really enlightening experience. I do it with my girls every year, and I think it's just really powerful, because then you have a team goal of saying, I want to be looked at as athletic. I don't want people to say we're ditzy. I want to be sports savvy. I want people to ask me about Broncos, and I want to say things that are impressive and not like, oh, I don't know, I'm just a cheerleader.
Right.
We want to be.
Well, I can second-hand attest to that mind shift, because me, as I played football growing up, watched football growing up, and all this good stuff. A young pubescent teenager boy is like, oh, hot cheerleaders, wow, and like that's it's like, and then you're you have that stigma around it, like, oh yeah, they're just hot ditzy women. And then as I got older and I started, studying successful people and entrepreneurs and professional athletes and mindset coaches and all this good stuff, and I started meeting, more and more professionals like you, met Katie, Natalie, you, and like just tons of others. It's like, wow, these are badass entrepreneur, like, work their ass off professional, like, athletes. I mean, they train just as hard, if not harder, than some of the professional athletes out there.
Right. And that's what I think we're grateful for, is kind of that coverage and people paying attention to that.
And that's
now.
part of the reason
I wasn't.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why I think this podcast was really cool, that we got to sit down and have this discussion. Right.
Like if you were to see Natalie Ewing walking down the street, you would just think, oh, she's like this hot blonde.
Yeah.
And then she opens her mouth and you're like, this girl is the most badass person.
Yeah, seriously. She is a fucking cool chick.
No excuses. And she is all about accountability and making sure that people understand what they're capable of. And it's just like, you are a rock star. And then Katie, same thing. She's like this drop dead gorgeous girl that you would just think, yeah. You don't know what you're doing. And she opens her mouth about creating content and, products that she wants to showcase. And you're like, okay, girl.
Yeah, running her businesses. I mean, you see her in there. She's in there hustling and selling stuff and pushing her product, doing collaboration. She's a really, really intelligent girl. Like I was completely blown back and impressed by Katie. And also, it's funny, if those of you guys that are listening, if you listened to Natalie Ewing's episode we did together, Natalie commented on when she started training with the Broncos that she trained them so hard. And Jana knows where I'm going with this. She trained them so hard, she made someone on the team throw up. Jana, you want to shine a little light on that?
Yeah, so I'm the puker. It's so funny though. It's funny because if you guys see me or meet me in person, or if you've seen pictures of me on Nuggets or whatever, I am a very muscular,
pretty damn in shape person.
Girl, like I gain muscle like it's nobody's business. I'm really athletic and strong. Our trainer on Nuggets used to always make me have more weights. He'd say, everybody grab 10s, Jana grab 15s. And I was like, oh, how rude. But so Natalie comes our first time, and she definitely wore us out. I mean, we were like, I can't believe how intense that workout is. And then the second time, she upped it even more because we did so well the first time that she wanted to see how far she could push us as athletes. And man, I was not prepared for that. And then, of course, our directors were in the room with us. And so, of course, I'm trying to do everything as hard as I can. Hold your shit
together.
Yeah, I mean, being watched by our directors. I don't want to disappoint anyone. The last person you want to disappoint is Natalie, because she will, if she sees you slacking, she comes up to you and will be like, give me more. You can do more. You can do this. You're a rock star. And you're like, oh God, I have to do more. So I did not want to disappoint her either. And man, I ran out of that room about 30 minutes into it and puked in a trash can, and then came back and finished.
You came back and finished.
Yeah. But yep, that was a rough workout.
I was like, Jana, what's that?
Everything in you.
What's that chunk on your shirt? You know, something.
Oh, and I didn't tell anybody until after.
Oh.
I just went and disappeared for a couple minutes, took care of business, and came back just looking like a ghost. And then I was like, so by the way, I got sick.
That's so funny.
Oh, but I lived, and I definitely would say, like, her workout is not to be trifled with. You take that workout if you have any goals, because she'll smash them for you.
Yeah, I know. I've been meaning. I want to do a session with her. She offered me to come by and stuff like that. She would freaking kick my ass because, like,
you would be sore for at least 2 weeks.
Because I lift heavy, but I don't do a lot of endurance stuff because I don't do anything athletic. So
yeah, it's all about endurance, and it gets you lean and just cut. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, freaking Katie, like, she's like she's a small girl, but like if you touch her, like hug her, or
all
like
muscle,
she's like a freaking stone wall, dude. She's crazy. Like, how can I get abs like that?
But that's what dancing does. That's why I always love to encourage it, because it's of course has all these opportunities and all this stuff, but it's obviously a workout. I mean, it's a full body workout. And if you would have seen me when I was on Nuggets, you'd be like, girl, what do you do? Do you go to the gym every day? And no, I don't ever work out. My best workout is dancing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jana, as we're wrapping this thing up, anything else you want to share or touch on that you just like to share out?
I would just say, like, entrepreneurship is one of the scariest things ever. I mean, it's a scary thing to have only your name on something, and you're responsible for its success, failure, interactions, anything, but it's been life-changing for me. I mean, more so than just on a empowerment kick or feeling like, oh, wow, I love what I do, because I do feel those things. But what it did for me is really put my whole life in perspective. I mean, it touches everything that you have going on. And I feel like it made me pick better friends. It made me realize what relationships in my life were supportive and which ones weren't. It made me really focus on goals and decide on, like, what's worth worrying about and what's not worth worrying about. It's really focusing if you let it. Obviously, you can go the other way too, but and I would just say the biggest thing for me to feel like I'm set up for success is making sure that I had a clear vision for my business and it wasn't all over the map. I mean, I knew game day is my thing. That's what I'm going to focus on. And I'll be open to other things. Like, I do intensives, I do camps, I do that stuff, but game day is my go-to because that's my strength. And it's something that I can bring a lot of other people into to help me. And so it's not just my style or just me controlling it. I really value collaboration. So I think bringing in other dancers and other styles and even providing master classes and things is really helpful for kind of our Denver dance community. And understanding, like, branding and sticking to that and making sure that
knowing that it may change, things may
and
adapt as you go.
Which I did. My first logo is not what I stuck with. But once I decided kind of what was most aesthetic for me and represented me, but also could be recognizable and easy to maintain and replicate, I felt like this is what I'm going to stick with. And it's nice because once you have that, you can start to build branches. I feel like that happens a lot with entrepreneurship. People think this is my core, but I also want to do this, and I also want to do that, and I also want to do this. And it's a lot easier to build off and kind of create your own little empire if you have a clear core and if you build off that core and then make everything really recognizable. So like I have, I'm going to offer privates. I offer a video store where people can buy my routines throughout the season at any point. They just buy a short little 1 minute, 10-second game day routine. And I feel like all those little branches are super easy to connect because I started with my one core: game day is my thing. This is what I want to do. So I would just say like really map it out and like think about what you want to do within your entrepreneur goals and whatever it is that you want to explore. Because if I would have done this in 2013 without having educated myself and expanded my experiences and understanding branding and marketing and all those things that go into starting a business, it would have tanked. There's no way. I mean, I would have abandoned the project, I think, within 6 months. But I really feel like I've built a foundation that I can just keep growing. And, I have really clear goals of expanding from Colorado to Florida and then Florida to Texas and Texas to Washington. So I think that doing that stuff really set me up for success.
That's awesome. Really. And how can people get into contact with you, find you?
I mean, I'm everywhere, but
just search Choreo Queen.
Choreo Wire is.
I should probably name this episode that the Choreo Queen.
Heck yes, I've always wanted to be a queen of something. But I feel like that was another thing too with my branding is I made sure I had a name and a handle that was available everywhere because I think that's really hard when all of a sudden you start adding like dashes and underscores and stuff because it's not available. So it's just Choreo Wire on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And then I have a website that's choreowire.com, and my personal one is kind of intertwined, but you can always find me there too. So.
Well, you're awesome. I'm super grateful for you. This was really fun, and look forward to hearing some updates here soon. We'll get you on the podcast again in the near future to give us all an update on everything.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited. We have our college intensive next month, and then we'll have our next.
Give that a shout out for anybody that's interested.
Yeah, so anybody who wants to audition for college dance, so if you're a junior or a senior in high school, or you're in college but want to try out for your team, we're going to go through so much, and we're bringing in Emily, who is the current coach from CU, Brittany, who's the current coach from CSU, and then Megan Savage, who used to be the Outlaws coach, and she danced for the Chiefs. But
is she as savage as she sounds?
No, she's very sweet. But she definitely is an intense teacher. She's just like me, very to the point, and likes to make sure you're absorbing the material. So they get to learn like really intense routines that are more college style, and then tricks, nutrition, interview, like just all this stuff to get them prepared for that audition process. Cause we typically drop our high school kids off hoping for the best, but I'd like to prepare them in another way. So we have that. And then we have our second Colorado choreography camp for high schools, and that'll be in August.
Beautiful. Well, guys listening, really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review before you leave, and make sure you go reach out to Jana on social media. She's fun to follow. Shout out to all the snoring snaps and everything like that. All right, guys, we'll see you on the other side.